Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for faithfully watching videos from our channel. We always pray that you are always healthy and happy always. Don't forget to always support our channel so that we are more enthusiastic about making the next videos. Let's get started. It all started with a common fever. A fever, a heavy head. She thought it was just a mild flu. But the fever grew higher, wilder, burning through her body night after night. Until one morning, when she tried to get out of bed, her legs stopped responding. Panic seized her. She tried to stand, but her body immediately fell. Her hands felt for her feet, but they felt like they were touching a foreign object. There was no feeling, no movement. Only a terrifying silence. The hospital gave her a devastating answer, a nerve infection caused by the high fever. The doctor said, "You will most likely never walk again." The words echoed in her head, over and over, hitting her harder than the fever. The following days were filled with tears. She stared at the wheelchair with hatred, as if it were a prison. Moving from floor to floor required incredible strength. Sometimes she would fall, hitting the floor, crying silently. Even bathing was no longer a refreshing experience, but a tear-filled struggle. Clothes that had once been easy to put on now felt like an enemy. Pulling up pants, putting on socks, let alone shoes, all seemed impossible. In the corner of the room, a pair of heels she once took pride in now lay, gathering dust, as if mocking her. But amidst the despair, a glimmer of determination emerged. If this disease can take my feet away overnight, then I can slowly reclaim my life. She began exercising her arms and upper body. Once she lifted herself, she fell. Twice, then she staggered. But she didn't stop. The cuts on her hands, the bruises on her shoulders, all were the price of her struggle. Slowly, she learned to move into her wheelchair by herself. She learned to shower patiently, even though it took a long time. She learned to dress herself, even though she had to sit for hours. She celebrated every small success with a smile and tears. The mirror in her room was witness. From a face full of despair, it transformed into one that, despite her fatigue, still held a glimmer of courage. One afternoon, she tried to leave the house. Her wheelchair touched the street, the afternoon breeze brushing against her face. People passed by, some staring pityingly, others remaining silent. But she only smiled. Because for her, sitting in a wheelchair under a blue sky was a great victory. She no longer dreamed of being the same as before. She didn't wait for her leg to heal. She simply wanted to live fully with what she had left. And that's where the magic happened. Her soul grew stronger, braver, more beautiful. That night, she gazed out the window at the sky, whispering, "I lost my steps, but I found myself." Daisy couldn't understand it. How could this happen? She had so many plans. She was supposed to finish school, go to college, travel the world. But now, things were different. At first, there was a heavy silence in her mind, as she tried to make sense of what had happened. How would she move forward? What kind of life would she have now? But Daisy was never one to let anything stop her for long. Even as she lay in her hospital bed, surrounded by machines and tubes, a flicker of her old determination began to ignite. She wasn't going to let this define her. She wouldn't let this be the end of her story. The struggles and triumphs of recovery. The first few months were difficult. Daisy had to learn everything all over again. Simple things that most people take for granted, like getting out of bed, dressing herself, or brushing her teeth, became major challenges. She spent long hours in physical therapy, working hard every day, pushing herself to regain strength in her arms and learn how to use a wheelchair. It was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. Some days, Daisy felt like giving up. There were moments when the weight of it all felt too much to bear. It wasn't just her body that had been hurt, it was her dreams, her sense of freedom, her vision of the future. But she never stayed down for long. Her family, friends, and even the therapists could see the fire in her eyes. She was determined to rebuild. Daisy made a vow to herself: she would not let this define her. It wasn't easy, but slowly, she began to find a new rhythm. Her world was smaller, yes, but that didn't mean it had to be any less vibrant. She began to rediscover her passions. She started painting, something she had always loved but never had enough time for before. She took up writing, pouring her thoughts and feelings into journals and stories. And she began to find new ways to connect with people, to use her voice and her story to inspire others. A day in the life. By the time Daisy had fully adjusted to her new reality, her life had developed a new routine, one that was different but full of purpose. Every morning, she would wake up to a new day, filled with both challenges and small victories. Her family helped her with the first part of the day, getting out of bed, into her chair, and ready for the day ahead. But as soon as she was in her wheelchair, Daisy took over. She had learned to do everything herself, from brushing her hair to making her breakfast. And though it wasn't always easy, she took great pride in her independence. She worked hard at keeping her body strong. Every day, there were stretches and exercises, building her upper body strength, improving her posture, and maintaining the flexibility that would help her navigate the world. Daisy had learned to embrace these physical challenges, finding joy in every small milestone. She was able to go out into the world more easily now, using a custom van that had been adapted for her needs. Going out with friends or family to a park, or to the beach, or simply getting a cup of coffee in the city became the small joys that filled her days. Of course, there were still hard days. There were still moments of grief, where Daisy missed her old life, and the pain of loss crept in. There were times when she would feel frustrated, when simple things became obstacles, when the world felt too narrow.